Welcome back and thanks for tuning in. Before I get started in today's video, I want to wish everyone a happy holiday season. Hopefully you had time to spend with family and friends and put your feet up. I know I did. I didn't really get down to the shop very much. This is actually footage from before the holidays. I had got commissioned to replace a broken sign. Not the one that you saw there. That one is actually one I took down and used as a template to put this one together to figure out what sizes everything should be. And it's not very difficult to do, mostly because this is going to be out of 1/8 inch acrylic. If it were any thicker, I would have to bevel all the edges, but because it is well, quite thin, I can actually weld it together at 90 degrees and then just bend it out to do whatever I actually require. So what I've done here is I did a mock-up, cut all the pieces, and then just taped it all together to make sure everything was fitting in the format that I needed. And it was actually a good idea to do that because it helped me figure out some of the details for well, what order I'm going to do all the welds in. So this is the base. This is the only part that is in 1/4 inch. It needs to be thicker just to withstand, well, all the abuse because the other one got broken. So I need to put a hole in the center. I don't have a hole saw the right size, which unfortunately was part of the reason why this job took a little bit longer than needed. If I had to have known how long it was going to take to set this hole up and then drill all these pilot holes, and then of course use a jigsaw to cut out the final bit, and then of course sand all the rough edges, I probably would have just gone and bought a hole saw. It might have been a bit expensive, but it would have saved me an awful lot of time. Because one of the things I noticed is this is colored acrylic. This is white, and it is not as durable as the acrylics I'm used to working with. It has a lower melting point, which really comes down to it. As you can see, there's a little bit of buildup here. This is a really sharp bit. It's not really a problem, and it's removing a lot of things at a relatively quick speed. So it didn't get a chance to form any problems on the edges. Unfortunately, like I said, I didn't have a coal saw, so what I was going to use is a jigsaw for this. And even though I used a brand new bit, it's not fast enough. It was, as you watch as this happens, cutting through here. Initially it starts out pretty fine. It's clearing all the material, but you're going to notice there's going to be some buildup, well, starting right about now. So what happened is, because it is not, like I said, it is rubbing up and down instead of doing what normally happens when I use the table saw. It is melting it. You can see it building up quite a bit here right now because it's just creating an awful lot of friction. So what that meant was each of these holes had to be run through like that, and then I had to let it cool and then run through it again. And in some cases I had to do it 3 or 4 times before I actually got to the point where I could move that piece out. I ended up cutting a number of different angles as well, trying to remove small pieces at a time. Long story short, it took forever, and in the end you can see the hole is a bit rough. It doesn't matter because it sits on a platform, but like I said, it was really annoying, and I had to sand it down as well. So now that part's all done, the easy part, this is just a simple weld up. So it's methylene chloride. Just have to weld on the end piece here because this is going to be the frame for which everything else is going to get welded onto. That's the back piece, and I need to just be careful. I had to let it set. Normally I don't let it set very long. If you watched my acrylic drawer guides and that sort of stuff, it doesn't take long, but I wanted to be extra careful to make sure that this is set properly. And then this is going to be the top. So what I'm going to do is weld it up and basically just U-trough here. And what I'm going to do after this is fully cured is I'm going to invert this and put it on top of what the piece you just saw and then weld it to that. It's, like I said, it is a little slow to do because, again, this is 1/8 inch. The nice thing about it is I can don't have to do the bevels, but the unfortunate part is because it's so flexible, I have to weld this piecemeal, a little piece at a time. I'll do a spot weld here, let that cure for a few seconds, and then gradually edge out the next little section, weld that, and so on and so forth until it's all done. And then of course I need to let it sit and cure for a little while before I attempt to move it anywhere. It's not a lot of weight, but I want to, like I said, I want to make sure the welds are good, and I want to make sure that you know, have to do any re-welding. So yeah, this took well, the entire footage for the video was just under an hour. I am obviously cutting an awful lot of it to show you, so you don't have to sit for an hour of this. But yeah, it's mostly just a little bit of weld, wait for it to set, and then a little bit more. And yeah, just like that's it. That's the whole process for that. So now that's done, I'm going to do the other side off camera, and then we're going to get to the point where we're going to flip this over. So this is now the piece I was just working on is now upside down, and it's sitting in place of where well, the bottom piece and the end piece. The thing is, this is going to fit inside. This is the inside part of the weld. So that upright section you see there, that is the back, and it is my guide. Because it sits inside, I don't have to worry about actual perfect measurements. The only thing I had to be careful about was when I cut these three pieces to make sure that the edges all met up, so that I don't have any small gaps, and then it's easy to weld. So this is the same process as before, but instead of doing it all at once, I am going to just spot weld in about 3 spots, I think, just to make sure it is well, held right on the edge. And I'm going to do that, and then the next step to do is to move the well, the section that's closer to the screen, closer to you guys, to my right currently, move that out so that it is on its edge. And then once that's like set up that way, I need to wiggle it a little bit, and then it's very straightforward. Just a simple matter of moving this out now without moving the other side, and then weld that in place. That turned out really quite well, but again, it just took a little bit of time, and the only real problem with it was this is very flexible, so I had to do it a little bit at a time. That's all. Other than that, like I said, it's not very difficult to do. But you'll notice towards the right hand of the screen, and actually right now at the bottom, there is a lot of excess, which is perfectly fine. It's very easy to remove. What they do in actual acrylic shops where they do this on a regular basis is they have a router, a very high-speed router, and it can remove these extra bits quite quickly. I don't have that equipment. I do have a router, but I don't have the actual bits that are necessary, and I didn't really want to go and buy that. So I'm going to do it with a table saw, which you'll see shortly. And like I said, this is almost done already. You can see there's an extra bit on the bottom as well, which is, again, it's very easy to remove. You'll see how that's done, but it makes this weld up easier because I don't have to pay attention to the actual lengths. I can just oversize them and then remove the material that's not needed. And the other nice thing about it is I can't get inside this to weld it. So the extra little bit means I can weld it from the outside, which is very, very handy. So this is that bit that you saw that was extra, and then all I'm doing now is setting up the height of the table saw blade just so it clears the material. Because it's not necessary to do it all at once, I can do this a bit at a time, and ends up just, like I said, just clearing it a little bit. The important bit here is not to let the blade sit in any position for any length of time, because it will melt. And once I was sure it was going to do what it's supposed to do, it's a simple matter of moving through and feeding it at a regular rate. That's it. That's the whole key to cutting acrylic. Just don't let the blade heat up and end up melting. Of course, using a sharp blade kind of helps too. And then that's it. Just pull it off like that. I think I did 1 or 2 more passes, just at slightly different angles. And then this is just as easy. You have to eyeball this, of course, because there's, well, it's not square to the saw sled, so you have to be cautious with that. But because it's only 1/8, it wasn't much of an issue. And the only problem you have to be careful about when you're doing the original weld up is to make sure that you weld it straight so that there wasn't any curve to it, because if there's a curve you couldn't like cut it straight. You'd end up with a bit of an edge there. But as it turned out quite well. That's it. That is the entire fabrication of this thing. It is now solid, and all I need to do now is put on the letters. I won't go through all that for you. It's just peel and stick. Just a matter of deciding where they're going to be, and then putting a piece of tape along the bottom as my guide to make sure that they all go on straight, and that's it. This is, like I said, it's these are very easy. These are not the numbers that were the style of numbers that they had initially, but I couldn't find any. So this is what they're going to get, and they're happy with it, so it's perfectly fine. All I wanted was the numbers that people can read. And here you go. This is it in place. Like I said, it got stuck up a little while ago. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Leave comments. Let me know what you think about all this. And I'll see you in the next video. And bye for now.